Alright guys, Mixfant Gaming here, welcome to my channel. Today we're back here in Mech Arena. I'm going to hop into 2v2, have some tasks I need to do for 2v2. But I want to actually talk about the state of the game and kind of where I see things are right now and going forward. So, let's just get started right here and let's start talking about the last update. And oh great, I'm in 2v2, looks like I think I have a real player on the other side. So I'm going to do my best here to talk about what I wanted to talk about. This whole update, I was actually somewhat behind it initially. What they explained that they wanted to do with it made kind of sense, in the sense that they wanted to make sure like the legendary items felt legendary, and say the uncommons or commons were kind of more of like a training type or introductory to the game weapons. But ultimately, they were not going to be a viable end game. And I can get behind that. I can understand that. Oh, great. This guy's over here. Darn it. But they completely missed the mark, in my opinion. Nobody was asking for huge buffs to weapon damage. We already had weapons in the game that were one-shot kills, like what I'm running right now, the EM-16s. Actually, almost all the EMs right now, if you have the right implants, can almost one-shot anything in the game. At least prior to the recent update. Now, with that being said, they pretty much across the board they gave the same buff to all legendary weapons and mechs. Minus, I don't think the EM rifles got a huge as big of a buff as other weapons, but still, for instance, EM rifles, they didn't need a buff at all. What people were really asking for was a buff to HP for mechs, because of the fact everything was a one-shot. We're in a situation where EM rifles were doing one-shot kills, and for rocket mortars were doing one-shot kills. So everybody was asking for HP buffs, especially for the tanks, because the tanks did not feel like tanks at all. So while they did give almost all mechs an HP buff, depending on their rarity, the amount that they got. For instance, legendary ones got a higher HP value, but then they went ahead and they buffed all the weapons too, which actually makes no sense, because the weapons got more of a buff with the inclusion of implants than you got for the HP. So now the situation is, we have, instead of just having rocket mortars and EM rifles being one-shot kills, you have most of the higher end weapons are one-shot kills, minus things like, for instance, carbines, where you have to do sustained damage over time, or the new miniguns. New miniguns are absolutely shredding. If you're exposed for any length of time, you're melted quickly. As I can attest from being exposed to this from AIs. AIs are running almost maxed out stuff when it comes to EM rifle. I'm not EM rifles, but miniguns. But with that being said, it's just they had a glorious opportunity here to actually bring balance back into the game, to add strategic elements. Where you use your cover and use your resources in the map in order to gain the advantage. But now it's you expose yourself for just a split second to an AI or even a real player that have maxed out stuff, and you're dead. There is no forgiveness anymore in this game. And one thing I was really looking forward to about this, with the whole kind of shifting with the rarities of the weapon stuff, I was really hoping rocket mortars would get nerfed to the point where, not that they wouldn't be useless, but they would actually be brought down a peg or two. But unfortunately, rocket mortars can still one-shot kills because of the overpowered implants that are in the game. Like, I'm not trying to be negative Nelly here and harp on the game or anything, but they really had a great opportunity, since they said they were going to do this anyways, to actually balance things out. And unfortunately, they didn't do it. They missed the mark, and they went for selling power over selling balance and skill and strategy. And speaking of one-shot kill, I just got completely obliterated there by I believe it was the Orion special weapon. You have to really be conscious of that, because I've been killed more times than once with one single shot from that Orion ability. It looks like we lost the second round here. So it's really unfortunate, and because of the amount of buffs they gave these mechs and stuff, I can't see them fixing it. They've gone so far to the way of power, and they don't want to upset people by nerfing stuff. So the only solution would be what we had previously to this update is we need a buff to HP again, and we need even a more significant buff to HP now. It's honestly, to get kind of a little bit of rant out of the way here, I am not enjoying myself extremely very much in this game because of all the one-shot kills out there. Even the new Helix rack, I'm getting one-shot kills by mostly by the AIs because they seem to have ungodly aim when it comes to things like this. Beyond that, they only nerfed made a couple small nerfs, and one of them was to the Zephyr. I don't remember anybody asking for the Zephyr ability to be nerfed, and even though they only reduced the ability duration by 1 second, it was 4 seconds before. So think of it in terms of this way, it was caught a 25% nerf in its ability. And really now, because of that nerf and because of the 8 HP increase that many of the other bots got, you can't kill most mechs now, especially if you're running, say, Arc Torrent 12s, in the time frame before they get their ability back. And God forbid you happen to go against a Bastion that can get that shield up, and then it can use, once its shield goes down, it EMPs you from like 60 meters away. It's really gotten to the case now where you try to keep as much possible distance as you can. You hide behind structure and you just try to get your one-shot kill. And and that's how this battle is taken care of. There's no real brawling anymore. Talking about the railguns now can almost do one-shot kills. And the fact that now they have the AI where their mechs come out and they can have, I usually see 2 flavors of rocket mortars on the other side. There's usually a railgun AI playing. There's at least 1 EM rifle AI. And usually either a Helix or a minigun. It's just, unfortunately, in my opinion, they went too far. And all I can say is they just missed an absolute glorious opportunity in order to actually bring a little bit more balance and strategy and skill back into this game. I'm disappointed because I really was expecting more out of this update and not going down the route of just selling power. Which, of course, a lot of these games like War Robots have the same thing where people always want to buy the more powerful thing. They want people to get the legendary pilots. They want people to get the legendary weapons and the legendary implants. And I understand all that. But if they would have just went the other way and actually added HP and tweaked the weapons that need to be tweaked, like tweak all the tanks themselves needed to be buffed in HP. EM rifles didn't need to be touched at all. To me, rocket mortars should have actually been nerfed a little bit if you wanted to bring the rarity of the weapons and stuff into balance. The Helix got a buff just after it got released because it was too close to the power of the javelins, which I can get behind that. Zephyr didn't need its ability nerfed at all. Now, pretty much, if you want to have a Zephyr with a viable option when using its ability, yes, you can still put like EM12s on it, but if you're trying to get up close and personal with a Zephyr because you're running either Arc Torrents or maybe shotguns, you almost now, in my opinion, need to have the ability duration implant as part of your pilot so that you can get that 1 second or more back. So you have another second or second and a half thereabouts of your ability so that you can get that sustained damage with shotguns or Arc Torrents on the more beefier mechs now that we've had this update. Anyways, it's going to probably take me still a little bit more time to adapt. My hanger just really isn't cutting it very much right now. My Zephyr, I really like it. I've always liked having it, but that 1 second duration penalty nerf to it really hit me hard. Same thing with my kill shot. My javelins just are not doing it anymore. I'm hoping one day I can get at least the Helix 12s and use them. And then beyond that, I'm not sure really what to do else with my hanger. I need to get some pilots and implants leveled up. But anyways, that's just something for me to figure out hopefully over time once I see how the meta goes in this kind of since this update. But I really don't expect them to be making any major changes to the balancing of this game anytime in the near future, which is unfortunate because, again, I'll just say it one more time. In my opinion, they really missed the mark. They didn't buff and balance what they really needed to in this game in order to have the longevity of the game and the player enjoyment. Because that's really, in my opinion, was lacking previously, is people were not really enjoying the game because of the state of the balance and the power levels and the meta. But they've just introduced a more annoying and frustrating version of the meta that we had previously. Anyways, I wish they would actually do regular updates and regular balance changes like other games that do it on a monthly basis. Keep it vibrant, keep the meta shifting, allow players, if you really having an issue with this current meta this month, well, just be able to fight through it, and then next month the meta might shift because of balance changes. And I'm not talking about huge balance changes. I'm talking about just smaller tweaks every single month, just to try to shift the gameplay in the flow of the meta and the pilots and the implants and stuff that are being used. But right now, one-shot meta, that's all it is. And unfortunately, that's probably going to be what stays here for the long term. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed the content. If you did, give me a thumbs up. Consider subscribing. Until next time, cause some mayhem in the field for me.